What happened to the men who walked with Jesus? After witnessing his miracles, after hearing his teachings, and after seeing him alive again following the crucifixion, where did they go? Did they return to ordinary lives? Did they become powerful rulers? Or did they pay the ultimate price for proclaiming that Jesus Christ had risen from the dead? History tells us that nearly every one of Jesus' closest followers suffered persecution, imprisonment, torture, and death because they refused to deny what they had seen with their own eyes. Their stories are filled with courage, sacrifice, and unwavering faith. Today, we're going to uncover what happened to the apostles after Jesus ascended into heaven. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why their testimonies continue to strengthen the faith of millions around the world. Following Jesus' resurrection, he spent time with his disciples, teaching and preparing them for the mission ahead. Then came the incredible moment recorded in the book of Acts. Jesus ascended into heaven before their very eyes. Soon after, the 11 remaining disciples faced an important decision. Judas Iscariot, the disciple who betrayed Jesus, had taken his own life. To restore the number of apostles, the disciples selected a believer named Matthias. Some Christians believe this appointment was God's intended choice, while others see the Apostle Paul as God's ultimate replacement for Judas. The Bible doesn't give a direct answer, and faithful believers have held different views throughout history. What matters most is that God used each of these men to spread the gospel across the known world, and their sacrifices would leave a lasting impact on Christianity forever. Number 1. Peter. Among all the apostles, Peter is perhaps the most well-known. The fisherman who once denied Jesus 3 times became one of the boldest leaders of the early church. Peter preached fearlessly throughout the Roman Empire and eventually arrived in Rome. Around 66 AD, during the brutal persecution under Emperor Nero, Peter was sentenced to death. Church tradition says Peter requested to be crucified upside down because he felt unworthy to die in the same manner as his Lord. While historians cannot fully verify this detail, they largely agree that Peter died as a martyr in Rome. Even in death, Peter remained faithful to Christ. Number 2. James, son of Zebedee. James, the brother of John, holds a unique place in history. He became the first of the 12 apostles to be martyred. The book of Acts records that King Herod Agrippa ordered James to be executed by the sword. His death occurred in Jerusalem during the early years of the church. Although later traditions claim James traveled to distant lands, Scripture clearly states that his earthly ministry ended in Jerusalem through martyrdom. Number 3. John. John's story is different from the others. Known as the disciple whom Jesus loved, John authored the Gospel of John, 3 epistles, and the book of Revelation. Unlike most of the apostles, John was not executed for his faith. That doesn't mean his life was easy. He suffered persecution, exile, and hardship for many years. Tradition says John spent his later years ministering in Ephesus, located in modern-day Turkey. He eventually died of old age, making him the only apostle believed to have escaped martyrdom. Number 4. Andrew. Andrew, Peter's brother, traveled extensively to spread the gospel. Historical traditions place him in regions north of Israel, including areas that are now parts of Russia and the former Soviet territories. He later ministered throughout Greece and Asia Minor. Andrew's ministry ultimately ended in martyrdom. Though details vary, church tradition consistently teaches that he died because of his commitment to Jesus Christ. Number 5. Philip. Philip carried the message of Christ into North Africa and Asia Minor. Ancient accounts tell of a Roman official whose wife converted to Christianity after hearing Philip preach. Enraged, the official reportedly ordered Philip's execution. Different traditions disagree on the exact method of his death, but they agree on one thing. Philip willingly suffered because he believed Jesus had truly risen from the dead. Number 6. Bartholomew, also known as Nathaniel. Bartholomew appears to have been one of Christianity's great travelers. Traditions place him in India, Armenia, Ethiopia, and regions connected through major trade routes. Wherever he went, he shared the message of Christ. Though details of his death remain uncertain, nearly all traditions agree that he was martyred for his faith. Some biblical scholars believe Bartholomew and Nathaniel were the same person, known by different names. Number 7. Matthew, also called Levi. Before following Jesus, Matthew worked as a tax collector. After becoming a disciple, his life changed completely. Matthew traveled through regions corresponding to modern-day Iran and Ethiopia, preaching the gospel. Some traditions remain silent about his death. Others claim he was killed while serving in Africa. Regardless of the exact circumstances, Matthew devoted his life to spreading the message of salvation. Number 8. Thomas. Thomas is often remembered as Doubting Thomas, but that label doesn't tell the whole story. After seeing the risen Christ, Thomas became one of the most courageous missionaries in Christian history. Tradition says he journeyed east through Syria and Mesopotamia before reaching India. Many Christians in India trace their spiritual heritage back to his ministry. According to ancient tradition, Thomas was eventually killed by soldiers because of his faith in Jesus. Number 9. James, son of Alphaeus. Less is known about James, the son of Alphaeus. Historical traditions suggest he preached in regions north of Israel. One ancient account states that he was first stoned and then beaten to death. Though details are limited, his story reflects the same pattern seen throughout the early church: faithfulness in the face of persecution. Number 10. Simon the Zealot. Simon the Zealot remains one of the most mysterious apostles. Various traditions place him in different parts of the world. Over the centuries, several regions claimed connections to Simon in order to strengthen their own religious influence. Despite these competing traditions, the most widely accepted account suggests Simon died as a martyr in Persia. Number 11. Jude Thaddeus. Jude Thaddeus is another apostle known by multiple names. The early church recognized him as a faithful missionary who preached throughout areas corresponding to northern Syria, Iraq, and parts of Turkey. Tradition states that he was eventually killed for preaching the gospel. His life stands as another example of unwavering commitment to Christ. Number 12. Matthias. After replacing Judas among the apostles, Matthias continued the mission entrusted to him. Ancient traditions suggest he traveled far north, possibly near the Caspian Sea. Though the details are unclear, most traditions agree that Matthias died as a martyr for his faith. Though not one of the original 12, Paul became one of Christianity's most influential leaders. Once a persecutor of Christians, Paul encountered the risen Jesus and experienced a dramatic transformation. From that moment forward, he devoted his life entirely to the gospel. Paul endured beatings, imprisonment, stoning, shipwrecks, hunger, and constant danger. In his own words, recorded in 2 Corinthians, he suffered more than most could imagine. Around 66 AD, Paul was executed in Rome. Because he was a Roman citizen, tradition says he was beheaded rather than crucified. Even facing death, Paul remained faithful to Christ. Then there is Judas Iscariot, the disciple who betrayed Jesus. Consumed by guilt after his betrayal, Judas chose to take his own life. His story serves as a sobering reminder. Judas was not the only disciple who failed. The other disciples fled in fear. Peter denied even knowing Jesus. Paul persecuted Christians before his conversion. Yet they all received God's forgiveness and grace. The same mercy that was available to Peter, the same grace offered to Paul, was also available to Judas. But unlike the others, Judas never returned to seek restoration. When we look at the lives of the apostles, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. These men gained no wealth, no earthly power, and no worldly advantage by preaching Jesus Christ. Instead, many faced persecution, imprisonment, torture, and death. Yet they never stopped proclaiming one message. Jesus Christ was crucified, buried, and rose again. Their willingness to suffer for that testimony became one of the strongest evidences of their sincere belief. From Jerusalem to Rome, from Africa to India, from Asia Minor to the far reaches of the known world, the apostles carried the gospel wherever they went. And because of their faithfulness, the message of Jesus continues to transform lives more than 2,000 years later. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And let us know in the comments, which apostle's story inspired you the most? Thanks for watching, and God bless you.